my entire childhood, I was always labeled, had a learning disability. And one of my 6th grade teachers told me I was a high school dropout material.
Tony, how are you?
Hey, I'm blessed. I'm excited.
Yeah, thank you for coming out here from Texas, right?
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. Born and raised?
Born and raised. Well, let me see. I was born in Dallas, but I grew up in Chicago. Both.
Okay.
Half and half. So when I'm in Dallas, I'm from Chicago. When I'm in Chicago, I'm from Dallas.
Okay, got it. I hear what you're saying. I love that. Well, Cali born and raised. Actually, Hollister born and raised. So not too exciting.
Gotcha.
But luckily, I get to travel a lot. So I make up for living in this tiny little town. Well, I'm excited to have you. Thank you so much for coming on. Everybody, we have Tony Mack in the house. Welcome to Hope to Hustle. And we are just going to have a great conversation today. I'm excited to hear your story and your journey to where you are today and just life. That's what we're here to inspire people that are listening and maybe going through similar situations of things that you've gone through or currently go through that they can relate to and take something from this. So again, thank you. Thank you for coming. Tony, tell me a little bit about yourself. So you're born and raised in Texas, and you grew up, I'm sorry, where'd you say?
Born and raised in Texas, but a little bit
when did
in
you
Chicago.
Move? Chicago.
I've been in Dallas my entire life.
Okay.
But my father, he was a single man, raised me. So when he was doing his thing, he'd fly me to Chicago to live with his sisters because he was born in Chicago. So I spent some school years in Chicago, and then whenever he got done doing what he was doing, I fly back to Dallas.
How long is that flight?
2 hours.
Okay, so not bad. Did you like the back and forth as a kid? Or was it kind of
a little bit of both because, it wasn't your home. Because, when you're living with your aunts and your cousins, it's not your home. So you feel a little, a little left out or something like that at times. So I liked it being around my family in Chicago, but I didn't like it because it wasn't your home. I love Dallas.
Yeah, totally. Did you grow up with a big family, small family?
My father, mother had 11 kids.
Wow.
And so we had at least about, I'm gonna say a crazy number, at least about 70 to 80 grandkids, and we all grew up together. And so it was kind of like, they was like my cousins, but they're my brothers and sisters as well, because we grew up so close. My grandmother was a very godly woman, so she kept the family really close. And so we all grew up really close together. So on my father's side, I had a huge family.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool. I mean, I have a really tiny family. Kind of split family, but I grew up with my mom's side of the family, and there's hardly any of us. And then my poor kids don't really have cousins. They have like 3, and that's it. So I have always looked at families who have large families and that many cousins like, oh, you're so lucky.
Yeah, and I got 2 older sisters that used to beat me up. So that's one of the reasons. So yeah.
Any brothers?
Little brother.
I
have 2 sisters from another mister and a brother from another mother.
Okay, so you've got a fun little interesting family dynamic.
Yeah.
Okay, and so pro boxer, huh?
Pro boxer.
Okay, how long were you? Tell me about that. Like, how did you get into boxing? How long were you a pro boxer for?
I started boxing late in life. Most people start when they're
younger.
Like young kids or teenagers. I started at 20 years old. And I was about 19, 20 around that time. And I used to work for my apartment complex. I used to pick up trash for free rent and keep the apartments furnished. And one day I had to help this guy move his furniture in. And they asked me to help him. And he was kind of like, we became cool talking. He was kind of like jacked. I was like, yo, what do you do? He was like, yo, I box. I was like, all right, cool. So I never thought nothing of it. But then one day I was in a college facility working out. And he was like, he came to me, he's like, yeah, if you want a real workout, come to the gym with me. And so like the next day I went to the boxing gym, and it was one of those hardcore garage gyms. When you walk in, you see the Mexicans in there going hard. Everybody just working like it was a real boxing gym.
Right. Like what you see in the movies?
What you see in the movies.
Yeah,
It was crazy. And I went in and did the workout. Almost died.
Yeah.
But I kept pushing. I kept going. And then worked with the coach, Gus Samuel. Shout out to him. He was like, hey, man, if you keep this up, you could be a pretty good boxer. I was like, really? You think so? And so I just kept showing up.
Wow.
Showing up 3 months later, had my first amateur fight.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, that's a lot of work too. I mean, you would think that, you know, you look at the physique of a boxer and it's like, that's a lot of discipline. Like, did you have to change?
Oh, it was life changing. And what boxing made me stick with it because I always wanted to be an athlete, but I sucked at football. Okay. I was terrible in basketball. And it was a team sport back then, you know, so boxing and football and basketball are team sports, but I was too small to be like a lineman. I wasn't athletic enough to be a DB or something like that. But what makes boxing special that it's all you.
Right.
You can't sub nobody in. You can't call timeout. It's all on you.
Independent sport.
It's an independent sport.
Right.
And so that's what I gravitated to.
That's cool.
Because I was always looking for some of that discipline and looking for something to keep me going in life.
Right. Yeah. I mean, in the training, do you have to do like additional training aside from the boxing and then, you know, your diet, all of that, like other sports too? I mean, I'm assuming.
No, boxing is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like you could play football, you could play basketball, but you can't play boxing. Like boxing, you could literally die. One punch could change everything. One mistake could change anything. So you got to stay focused the entire time. And we call boxing a chamber of truth because it tells the truth because it's you versus another man. It tells the truth who ate right, who went to sleep on time, who ran longer, who was more disciplined outside the ring.
Okay. Like they can tell there's no fibbing that. Not like, I got 8 hours of sleep. It's like, no, I could tell you probably only got like 4.
It was you versus another man. So whoever did the work, it would show in the fight. Who was more disciplined. Is
there any like mistakes? Like, you know, in sports, like, oh, if I would have caught that ball or I would have, you know, done this, like it could have changed the whole game. Is boxing similar to that? Where it's like
plenty of mistakes. If you slack on your running and then get into the later rounds, it will show. Your conditioning outside the boxing gym is key because you got to run every day. So if you're not doing your running, if you're not doing your strength and conditioning work like you're supposed to do, like once you're done training, because it's in boxing, it's a 3 or 4 day training schedule. Like you got to wake up, you got to do your running separate. You got to do your boxing training separate. And you got to do your strength and conditioning separate. It all come together. It's like hope I use this right. It's like baking a cake. Right.
Yeah. You need all the ingredients. To get the perfect outcome.
Exactly. And then,
So you, after 3 months, you got your first gig. How was that?
I got my ass whooped. Can I curse?
Yeah, of course you can. Open mic here.
I apologize, but I got my ass whooped. It was pretty funny. And that was the first time I always been respectful. And that was my first time I ever cursed in front of my pops. Because I never cursed from. I was always respectful. But when I got out the ring, I was like, "Pops, I got my ass whooped." He was like, "Yes, son, you got your ass."
And how long has that boxer that was your first?
That was my first fight. He had about so when you first start, you're in a novice division. Okay. They don't put you in there with anybody. They put people at your skill level, and so it's anywhere from 1 to 8 fights. And I think he had about over 5 fights. Oh, wow. But it was a war. I fought my ass off, but I just came up short because of the experience. But it was no boxing match. It was a slugfest.
But I'm curious to know, in that moment, did it inspire you to push harder or did you want to give up?
No, it inspired me to push harder. Like I don't even remember how it happened. kept showing back up to the gym. I just went back to the gym like nothing happened.
And see, and that's what I love, right? Is like we encounter so many different things in life where it's easy to say, take a failure and say, this isn't for me. Like, I'm not going to continue. I'm not going to push harder. And you are a perfect example of like, okay, you had a goal and you walked into that gym and you knew like, okay, I like this. Like I'm for it. I want to be an athlete. You felt in your element. You showed up. You knew what you were up against, somebody who's been in the ring before, and this is your first time. You got your ass kicked, but it inspired you.
It inspired me.
That to me is inspiring in itself and important, because that's when people can be like, you know what, this isn't for me. I'm not going to go out there and embarrass myself, or you know what I mean?
I got you.
And instead it was like, no, I'm going to keep showing up, and it's going to motivate me to push harder and to win the next one.
100%. And I think that discipline and that hunger to win came from my childhood. And I don't know if I'm jumping ahead.
No.
Oh, yeah, like, you know, because my entire life, childhood, I was always labeled, had a learning disability. And one of my 6th grade teachers told me I was a high school dropout material.
Wow.
And so, and then in school, my mother, she didn't really raise me, but my father raised me by himself. He's an he hung around the hustlers, he hung around the pimps. So he, like growing up, it was just me and him. And so my mother, like if she want to get mad at my pops, she'll pull me out of school and keep me out of school. So I like was in 1st grade, like 3 or 4 years straight. Like seriously, like I never seen 3rd grade, never seen 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade. I was in 1st grade, 3 or 4 years straight, and then I moved to Chicago to get me back in my right grade because of the school system was different. And I went straight to 5th grade, and so I always was struggling with school. I always felt like left behind. I always felt like I used to be afraid to when I was a kid, I used to be afraid to grow up because I couldn't read or write as much, and I was like, fuck, what I'm gonna do when I get older?
Right.
Like I was terrified of getting older because of I struggled so bad in school, but life circumstances happened to where I moved back to Dallas. Then I moved to Pleasant Grove. My pops lived, it wasn't in the hood, but it was like a predominantly black neighborhood to where all we had to do was fight. That's what we did. We fought. But then a few of my friends, like we were skipping school, like hanging around with my friends. We was breaking into houses, stealing cars. And one of my friends getting murdered back and forth. And so I I was in Pleasant Grove, and then my aunt, she moved from Chicago back to Plano. It was a predominantly white neighborhood. And when she moved, I was like, Aunt, I called her, I was like, can I come live with you? Like,
how old were you?
I was like 14, 15.
Oh, wow. So before 14, 15 years, you were already experiencing breaking into homes and all these things.
That was for fun. That's what we did for fun.
Wow.
Growing in Pleasant Grove, we used to steal Hondas, break into like portables, like those school portables. Like I was always afraid. I was always scared to do it, but my friends, that's what they did, so I had to be around it. Right. Or I wasn't going to fit in. Right. So I was like 15 around that time, and one of my friends got killed, and I begged my aunt. I was like, hey, you moving back, can I come live with you? And so while I was in Pleasant Grove, the DISD school system was kind of jacked up. So I failed like my freshman year because I wasn't in school at all and I was struggling. But when I moved to Plano with my aunt at a predominantly white school, very rich neighborhood, the environment switched up everything. Like I ended up getting back in my right grade. Ended up being the first black homecoming king, the first black the first black senior class president. Like from all those struggles in school, and then just getting around the right environment, kind of changing. Like when I ran for class president and won by a landslide, that gave me like the confidence, like I could do anything. Right.
I mean, how was it switching? I mean, that's fearful to be predominantly in a white school in town. I mean, did you? I'm sure nervous.
I was scared as hell all the time, but I was very happy because when I was at Samuel in Pleasant Grove, we had to fight every day. During the lunch period, we went to the bathroom to fight. You had to fight.
Wow.
And I think that what made me a great boxer because I was always you see my bubbly personality. You see I'm always smiling and happy or lucky and goofy. I'm so mad at myself for being happy all the time.
Yeah.
But I couldn't be like that in Pleasant Grove.
Right.
And so I got picked on, and I was always afraid to fight because I wasn't a fighter.
Right.
But I was reading a book the other day, and it really hit me. It's called Thick Face, Black Heart. It's a pretty amazing book. It was like the bravest warriors was always once the greatest coward.
Wow.
I always felt like a coward because I was always scared to fight back.
Right. Well, you had you had a big heart.
Yeah,
you know?
I didn't want to fight.
Their reason for fighting was different.
And that's one of the reasons I think I became a really good fighter because I never wanted confrontation, but I was forced to fight when I lived in Pleasant Grove. But then back to your question about moving to Plano, it wasn't none of that. It was everybody was happy go lucky. Everybody was friendly. Like it was just a whole nother environment where you went to school, you was happy to go to school. Like you got laughed at for not studying.
Right.
You know, for not, I'm getting like you see kids pulling up and like for their 16th birthday, pulling up in like BMWs and Hummers and all. I'm like, yo, what did we had off campus lunch for an hour? And, for in high school, I'm like, I went from metal detectives to off-campus lunch. Wow. I'm like, I'm not leaving this. I'm going to work my ass off.
You have to stay, and you appreciated that
100%.
And so when you moved there, did you lived with your aunt so that you can maintain school, and that's when you would go back and forth to visit your dad?
Yeah.
Or did you take a period of time where you just focused on school?
I'd stay with my aunt. And my pops like, I'll kick with you later.
Yeah,
I stay with my aunt the whole time. So. Yeah,
wow.
Shout out to my aunt Sam.
Yeah, big shout out to her. I mean, bless her heart.
Yeah.
Wow. And how many cousins did you live with at that time? How many
Just my little cousin, her grandson, because her kids was older, but her grandson.
Okay.
My little cousin Maurice, yeah.
So it's like a sibling to you.
Yeah.
Wow. He a boxer too?
No, he's definitely not.
Okay. Big sweetheart like you,
big
though?
Sweetheart, yeah.
That's awesome.
Exactly.
That's crazy. I mean, and do you feel, how have you coped with everything that you've gone through? I mean, you do just seem like a big teddy bear and huge smile and just happy, but I could only imagine it still takes a toll on you and your heart and what you've gone through. Has it affected you negatively? I mean, you had the opportunity to change and grow up differently and give it your all. And one, not a lot of people have that opportunity, but I also feel, two, some don't want to change the lifestyle because they're raised a certain way. They almost feel like they have to just stay in it, Like you could have made that choice where it's like, I want to live the rough life. I feel like it's rare that somebody actually wants to get out of that lifestyle and do something better for themselves at such a young age.
So I have a lot of cousins in Chicago. And a few of them, my aunt brought them in with me. They all had the same exact opportunity I had, but they decided to go that lifestyle. And they're in prison right now.
Wow.
Some for one life, one 30 years, other did 10 years, got back in. But she gave them the opportunity to come stay with us. And but they didn't like that environment. It was like that was too much for them. It was like, no, I can't be like that. I got to be like this.
Right.
But it was something inside of me that always just wanted more. I knew that lifestyle wasn't for me. And so, and today, like, you still have your issues because I came from Pleasant Grove. I came from the hood. I don't want to say the hood because my pops did everything he could do to make sure that he protected me. He didn't. Right. But I don't want to say the hood because it was basically. It was a predominantly black neighborhood. Right. It was it's
a harder upbringing. Sure.
But like now, people, they see me like, man, you're so preppy. You're such a white boy. You're such a white boy. Like, but if they knew what I went through, they don't know what I went through to get to this. And I have some of because I hang with everybody. But people like, man, Tony, you never did a hard time in your life. You wasn't this, you wasn't that. You're so happy. I can see you being from the hood. I can't see this. I can't see that. Like, because I chose to live this lifestyle. Right. Because I could easily, all my friends that I grew up with in Pleasant Grove, gold grills, tatted everywhere. But nothing wrong with that. But it's just that, the lifestyle there is like, they got face that, they back and forth in prison. They,
well,
it's just the lifestyle is just totally different.
You chose to, and if anything, you chose the harder route, right?
I chose the harder route.
It is harder. It's easier. My mom always told me growing up because, see, I was a little bit opposite. I was a little bit more of the rebel, and I chose the bad decisions. I mean, I was a good kid growing up, but, there was a phase in my life that I wasn't making the best choices for myself. And it was like by choice. It was choosing that. And I don't know if it was more to be rebellious or curiosity, but she always told me it's easy to get an F and it's hard to get an A. And that has always stuck with me because it's so true. For an A in school, you have to study. You have to have discipline. You have to be able to say no and turn things down and not go to a party on a Friday night because you have, a big test on Monday or a project due. Getting an F is easy. You just don't have to show up. You don't have to go to class. You don't have to do your homework. You don't have to try, but the fulfillment of getting an A and that accomplishment of, okay, I'm showing up on Monday with that paper in hand and I did the assignment. I didn't cheat the assignment. I didn't, you feel that. You feel that sense of accomplishment, but it's so much harder to work towards that. So, I mean, and that's just school. So looking at your lifestyle and growing up, and yes, I mean, absolutely, your dad did everything he could to provide for you. And that's a strong man to raise you independently, on his own. I mean, that's not a lot of men out there do that. It's something like, moms typically do. They're raising their children on their own. So for a man to take that on and a father to be able to do everything that they can to raise a child on their own, I mean, that's a difficult task in itself. But you had something special to be able to see what you were around and know that you wanted better for yourself, and in changing that, I mean, that's amazing and very inspiring to me. And so you went to school and you said you got homecoming queen. Is that big smile? King. Was that your senior year?
My senior year, yeah.
Okay.
My fifth senior year, don't tell about it. Yeah. I struggled. But so I made the best out of it.
Did you have to do high school grades over also?
So when I moved to Plano, they got me back in my right grade, but they asked me, I made friends already in a grade lower than me. So they asked me, they literally gave me a choice to either go back to my right grade or I could stay an extra year. I could be held back a year.
You're like, well, I'm kind of used to it.
I'm like, sure. But I made friends that was a year younger than me. Uh-huh. I became really good friends with a few of those guys, and I decided to be held back.
Yeah,
and it worked out for the best. Like I didn't like the people that was in the grade above in my grade.
At least you had the choice.
I literally had the choice, I was like, I stayed back because I was always behind in school. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to just get better and get smarter, and I wanted to prove that I'm not who they say I am.
Right.
Who the system said I was, but that last year, like I said, I ran for class president, homecoming king, I did everything I could do. I just took a chance on everything, and they stopped me from running for stuff because I was winning. Literally,
wow.
They said I couldn't run for prom king because I won homecoming king already and class president and stuff. So I was like,
that's amazing.
I'll take it.
Did you have good grades?
No, I was terrible in school, but I tried though. I literally like when I was class president, I had to give my graduation. I was the master of ceremonies for graduation. I had teachers. They reached out to help me put my speeches together. Me and my aunt put my speech together. And I had teachers I really became friends with. They really, really wanted to see me succeed. And that was the biggest difference between Plano School District and Dallas School District. And I wasn't the greatest student, but I remember trying. I really, really tried. I really sat in front of the class and really wanted to get better.
Mm-hmm. And how old were you when you graduated?
19.
You were 19.
Yeah.
Did you get a driver's license?
I was 18, 19, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so that's when you started working at the apartment complex, right after high school?
Right out of high school, I ended up going to College. And I started working at the apartments complex. And then that's when I met Brandon, became the boxer. And then 3 years later, like boxing, 3 years later, I made the USA boxing team. I was fighting for the USA. Like 3 years, I was 20 years old, 23, 24, around that age. I fought my ass off. I fought in every tournament I could fight in. I did everything I could do to be successful in boxing. Took a lot of L's, won a lot, but in 2009 was my breakout year. I mean, dominated. Went to USA Nationals and got ranked number 3 in the nation and ended up fighting for my USA team.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
When did you win your first fight? Was it your second fight or did it take a few?
Second and third fight. Yeah, it was like I stayed in the novice division till about 10 fights. I stayed so I could get as much experience as possible. And then there was small little smokers here and there, like tournaments. I won those. But then when I went in 2008, I fought in states. And it was my first open fight. Open means that you're open to fight anybody. Once you get more than 10 fights, you could fight anybody. You could fight somebody with 400 fights. You could fight an ex-Olympian. Wow. You could fight a world champion in the amateur bracket. And so my first open fight was against Craig Baker. He was a number 4 guy in the nation. And again, he whooped my ass. And then I had to fight him again a week later. That was in the States, Golden Glove States. And then I had to fight him again a week later in the USA Boxing States. And he whooped my ass again. I remember crying like a baby because I trained so hard. I was like, I got an opportunity to make the U.S. team. I got an opportunity to go nationals. That's the goal. Go nationals, win regionals, win states, then go nationals. But he stopped me both times, like put my goals, crushed him. But then the year later, he turned pro. And then the next year in 2009, after taking those L's, that next year, I wiped everybody out. I mean, I dominated everybody in my regions, dominated everybody in states, and then made it to the nationals. Wow. And then just dominated.
What do you think changed? Just the experience, with the training, or?
The experience. The experience was one of them because I fought somebody with very high IQ of boxing. He punched some sense into me. And he taught me a lot. And then just the sacrifices, my coach Paul, I had a coach Paul, he drove me to nationals and stuff like that. And just, he helped me really hone my skills in. He sacrificed, and just him. I remember us driving to Denver to go to nationals. I'm like, yo, this man taking his time out for me and doing this for me. I wanted to not go there and lose the first, So I went there and we busted out, we worked. And I went to nationals and just fought my ass off in each one. I was very limited on skills because I started boxing late, but my determination, hunger, and I could take a punch. I don't know how I got tough. I could take a punch, and so I got cracked a couple of times, but I just walked through it. I was willing to run through a big wall.
What's the recovery for that when
there's no recovery in amateurs. You got to fight.
You got to keep going.
Wow. Yeah, there's so in tournaments like that, you have to fight 10 days. The more you win, the more you advance. And the more you advance, you fight somebody better because they're winning. And so once you get to that level, you just gotta keep fighting. And I made it to the semifinals. Wow. I lost to the number 1 guy in the nation, the guy that won it all, which ranked me number 3. But it was a war between us. Even put it on ESPN. I was like, oh shit, I'm on ESPN.
Yeah. Look at me now.
I know, guys. Right? I know. It was cool. Jordan Schimmel, thank you for beating me. But it made me a man, better man in boxing. But just that hunger and determination.
Mm-hmm. And how long were you pro for?
Well, this is all amateur. I made the U.S. team in amateurs, and then a year later, I made the World Series of Boxing team where you fought like all the greatest, all the top 4 amateurs, United States, top 4 amateurs, and Asia and Europe. We competed against each other, and so I was able to fight on that. Then I turned pro at the age 27.
Okay, is that the average age for a pro?
No, average age is like the late 20s.
Okay.
Early 20s,
Early
20s, yeah. But I started boxing at 20.
Right.
And so,
which is cool though that they still, because that could have maybe even disqualified. Mm-hmm. Like, you've hit the.
Well, in boxing like the Wild Wild West a little bit. You could turn pro a little later. You could start a little later. But you won't have a good success if you didn't fight amateurs. If you just go pro, you won't have a good career. But I decided to stay amateurs to have a successful pro career. So I stayed amateurs for 7 years.
You're smart, Tony. You're like, I choose to stay back in high school one more year to make sure that I'm going to succeed, and do that in your career too. I mean, that's crazy. I'm like, nope, I don't want to waste another year. I want to go right now.
I realized that life is a marathon.
Yeah.
And like I always started slow. I always was left behind, but at the end of the day, for some reason, I always catch up. I always beat the people I've been trying to compete with. I always get ahead somehow. I don't know how. Like God always have a very special way of like really, the God in the universe always had my back. And thank God for it. And I realized that. And so I realized just sometimes I'm not patient, but sometimes I know that the slower things are, you eventually get to where you need to be.
Right. Having that patience.
Patience is key.
I'm trying to learn that every single day.
It's tough.
Hard. It's patience really tough.
And I think it make you have a longer life a little bit and make you just really enjoy the moment and really enjoy see what this universe and what God has to offer you.
Absolutely. Do you trip out today? Like just
all the time. I'm like I'm beyond blessed, beyond happy, and like I just look like, man, look where we are in life. Look where God's at. If you just stay focused, stay disciplined, keep Him first, and just stay faithful. Faith is key. Right. Like even though I was going through a lot of things in life, I always had somebody to speak life into me. I'll like somehow have somebody to speak like something to me as a kid. They'll say something, or somebody special to say something to me and like give me that hope. Like I can do this.
Right.
I can. So I was always blessed with that too. I had people that push you down, and I had people that pick me up.
Right.
So I was able to have both.
And
so that what helps.
Yeah, absolutely. And who do you have now that you feel is your mentor?
I hire business coaches. I have a Nathan Pipitone. He was my boxing manager when I was a pro, but he was a good friend. He always was a businessman. So I asked him, he never was into boxing at all. But I asked him like, hey, I don't have a boxing manager. I know you good. I know you're a successful businessman. So can you manage me as a boxer? And he took it on. And then as I was having my boxing career, he always taught me how to have a life after boxing. Life after boxing. And so that was our goal. He was teaching me about business. He was teaching me a lot of things on what to do after boxing. But then my career ended really early. And so that career happened really life after boxing.
Did something happen that it just...
Yeah, at the age of 30, I had detached retina. Oh. And so I was forced into retirement. I had 5 eye surgeries.
Oh my goodness.
So I mean, I literally fought for 10 years nonstop. I didn't have a 20s childhood. I mean, like I didn't have that 20s, growing up in the 20s, I dedicated my entire 20s to boxing.
Wow.
And so at 30, I had to retire. But God knew if I wouldn't have retired at 30, I would have died trying boxing because I was that hungry to become a world champion. I would have became a world champion or died trying. And I was very limited in skills because I started so late. And I think I would have been taking some punch. I would have got hurt. Something happened if I would have got to the elite level. But God has a way of making things happen for you.
Yeah, and you are a firm believer in that process.
I am.
Yeah, I love
100%.
Yeah, that's good. You have faith in what's meant to be and what's supposed to happen is going to happen right now. Wow. So you retired at 30?
Started at 20, retired at 30.
Wow. Yeah, how's your eye now? It's fine?
It's decent. I'm supposed to wear glasses, but wow. I go get my eyes checked every now and then, and they say my eye's not as bad for having freaking 5 detached retina surgeries.
Right.
Like my vision's like 20/30. I'm like, they said it's supposed to be worse, but they was like somehow, but I'm going into my eye so much, you still got decent vision. So thank God for that blessing.
Yeah. So you went from that career drastically changing into business. So you had a coach, you had your manager that was mentoring you.
Mentoring me. And once I detached my retina, I was depressed because my goal was taken away from me. And that's when I discovered personal development. through that process, because I don't know if you know about the detached retina process.
No.
You know, they have to put a gas bubble in your eye or an oil bubble in your eye, and you have to look down for like anywhere from 2 weeks. You can't look up for 2 weeks. You got to keep it down to keep your retina flat.
Oh my gosh.
So you have to sleep like in a massage bed. You have to watch TV in like a massage bed.
Gosh.
I had 5 of those. And so I had to, like, my entire 2015 through damn near 2016 was me looking down.
Oh my goodness.
And yeah, and I didn't know what I was going to do with life and stuff like that. And you know, while I was boxing, I was doing personal training on the side, like teaching boxing, but I wasn't as good as I was now, because my goal was to become a world champion. Mm-hmm. But Nate was always telling me, when you get done, open a gym, teach you, you know, you could do this for the rest of your life. I always enjoyed dealing with people. I always loved people. Mm-hmm. And so, but when I was 30 and that happened, when I was about 31 in 2016, I was going to Canelo fight, and I was working at a gym where it was a guy who owned a gym, and he wasn't the greatest person. He wasn't cool. And he boxed, but he wasn't a boxing coach, and he haven't done what I've done. And the way he treated people, I didn't like it. Mm-hmm. The way he acted like he was better than everybody because he was the owner of the gym. And so I was driving to go watch Canelo fight at the AT&T Stadium, and I was in the car with Nate, my wife, and his wife. I was like, Nate, I really think I can own a gym. I really think I could be a gym owner. But he could do it, I could do it. He inspired me. Yeah. If he could do it, I could do it. And he was like, and Nate was like, if you're serious, go get an LLC. Mm-hmm. I was like, what the hell is that? Yeah. And so I did my research and got it right away. And then I just got an LLC, and he was like,
what was it called? What was your LLC called?
TMACK Elite Training, LLC.
Okay, so the same way you have now. Same right now,
7 years, yep. Yeah, I hit my cousin up. We was trying to come up with names. Like, what's the name of my gym? They was like, hey, everybody gave me different names and stuff like that. So TMACK Elite Training came with that. And then he was like, let's look for coverage. Not coverage, but a location of coverage. And so we was looking. And so I had different investors from clients and stuff I was working with. And somebody put a bug in my ear, was like, Tony, you don't know business. I said, it won't be wise to go get a location where you're going to be in debt, you know, for the rest, you know, for the next 7 years. They was like, so why don't you go into a gym that's already established and see if you could, you know, open up your business inside their business. Mm-hmm. And so somebody introduced me to this place called the Den, and it was like a rugby facility.
Okay.
And so it was an empty place. It was like a huge location, but they wasn't doing good business there. But I asked if I could move my boxing equipment in and start training there, and they allowed it. And like the next 2 days, me and Nate, we had boxing equipment from another gym we was working at, like a boxing ring and some bag stuff. So we moved our stuff in the next day, and then 7 years later, that's where I'm still there consistent.
You're still there?
Still there. And
are they still doing rugby?
No, like it's by me moving there, other business owners came in, we partnered, and now they turned the entire gym into a fitness facility, and I have my boxing area.
Wow.
I started out with like 2 or 3 bags. Now I got 40 bags, full Olympic sized boxing ring, and they're doing their fitness. Like they have the weightlifting. I partner with bodybuilders. So they have the full weightlifting facility, cardio machine. So we have a really big,
which is cool,
gym. It's really worked out perfect.
Yeah, because there's a combination of everything that's already there. That's cool. So it's popping all the time.
It's literally popping. Like, and they're physique competitors.
Yeah.
I hung out with them. And so in 2019, I did my first physique show.
Oh,
it was pretty cool. Like I got on stage, I was very uncomfortable, but I did it. I was like, fuck it, let's go.
I love it. I'm curious to know what you're going to be doing in the next few years.
I ran a marathon in 2020.
Really?
I ran my first marathon in 2020.
How long was that?
It took me 5 hours.
Okay.
It's 26.1 miles. Don't forget that 0.1. That 0.1 was
5 hours for 26 miles?
That shit hurt. Yeah.
That would take me days. There's no way.
My goal was to do it under 4 hours.
Wow.
But when I was training for it, I didn't have heels. I was just running, but the actual marathon location had heels, and it like kind of threw my legs off. And then my headphones went out like an hour into it. I'm like,
Yeah, really? I was prepared, ready to go, and now I have no music. Oh, man.
that was I don't think I ran since then. That marathon was painful.
Oh,
but it was fun. It was
imagine.
very rewarding, though. Because I was preparing for it. I ran, 3 half marathons, and I was like, I told myself, like, yo, stop acting like a little bitch and get you do a full marathon.
Do a full marathon.
And so I did it. So I hired a run coach, and we trained for 8 months.
Wow.
And and I did it.
What was the marathon for? Because like some of them have.
It was Cowtown. It was Cowtown Marathon. It was right before COVID.
Okay.
It was like literally right before COVID.
Everyone's last hoorah together before.
Yeah, like no, it wasn't even that because it was right when COVID hit in China, and so where my marathon was, it was a really popular marathon. So I was wondering why everybody from a lot of Asian people there, a lot of coaches there, because they shut down the whole Europe and Asia area. So they came to my marathon. So it was really packed.
Oh, wow.
I was wondering, so it was like, it was a packed marathon with all kind of coaches. And it was like really, 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 really fun and intense, but scary. So it was pretty cool.
One and done.
One and done. I don't think I ran since then. So
that's cool. Yeah. And so work now with training, you're training every day. Do you just train different people? Are you training athletes, boxers?
I train the everyday average person. Mm-hmm. I train, we have a kids program.
Oh, cool.
Anywhere from 5 to 11 years old. We have the boxing for fitness program for anybody from 12 to 60 years old, where ladies and guys, they just like learn the true principles of boxing. And we really like go hard. The classes is really fun. Like we built a really good community, built a really good culture there. And then we have the master's program where guys 35 and up that never competed or was an ex-amateur that want to box, they get to fight, compete. I put on boxing shows for the masters and stuff like that. That's a really big program for my gym. I also have my pros that I have pro boxers and elite amateurs that fight. So we have a little bit of everything. And not only that, I train a lot of NFL guys. I train the Dallas Cowboys. I train Michael Parsons. I train Amari Cooper. Train a lot of guys like Mike Jackson Sr. from the Seattle, Dwayne Estridge. I got a lot of NFL clients. So I got a little bit of everything, but my bread and butter, I really enjoy training elite athletes. Mm-hmm. Elite athletes because I get to push them to levels they've never been pushed.
Right.
And I also enjoy training ladies because they're so graceful. And they're like, guys, they want to show how hard they hit and want to be all sweaty and grow. I'm like, us.
Yeah. Girls just want to know that we showed up.
Exactly.
We did it, and
y'all put the work in. Y'all don't complain.
Yep.
I actually work y'all butt off. And I love it. And but it's like people ask me for my niche. I have plenty of niches, but I train everybody. Mm-hmm. Like I enjoy training everybody, but I really enjoy training elite athletes.
That's amazing. Yeah. And you feel you're just going to continue doing this for the rest of your career?
Oh, no, I'm going to do this forever. Even when I'm retired, awesome. Even when I'm done, my goal is not have to be in the gym, but I want to be in the gym just to help somebody become successful. Yeah. I want to help build a world champion, and I want to help build a world champion outside the gym. No matter what your goal is in life, you can become a world champion.
Absolutely.
In that goal, So that's not only I'm building good champions inside the ring, I'm building champions outside the ring.
Yeah. What goals do you personally have for yourself? Like, what do you do? What do you do for you? Like, aside from the gym, I know that's pretty much like your life, but what else do you enjoy doing on your free time outside of the gym?
Outside the gym, I enjoy meditating. I enjoy reading. I used to hate reading growing up, but now I thrive it. I crave it. Because it's just so much knowledge in books that you don't know about. Mm-hmm. And once you get done reading, you just feel smarter. You feel more articulate. You could speak a little clearer. You're thinking a little faster. You get to hold a better conversation. It's just like reading is really like, I don't say underrated because it's amazing, but for me, like it was really underrated. So I really enjoy it. I enjoy playing Madden on my downtime. Yeah. And I'm addicted to business. Like I hired a business coach, Michelle Blakely. She changed my life. I've been working with her for the past year and a half. Like things I've been trying to figure out in business that I couldn't figure out for 3 or 4 years. She found it for me in 8 seconds and like made a world of difference. I enjoy having conversations with her. I enjoy talking business. I just enjoy having an old fashioned with some of my successful friends that inspire me. Talk ideas. I really enjoy talking ideas. I really enjoy talking what's next.
Creativity.
Yeah. I got my boxing promotion license now.
Oh, wow.
I'm a promoter now because I did my first show last week.
How did that go?
Amazing. It was too good. I can't go backwards from there. I'm like, crap, I got to step my game up every time, which can be a bad thing sometimes. When you have too success on your first stuff, you can't go backwards.
Right. Now you just have to keep
You got to keep elevating. Yeah. Exactly. So and I was so blessed to have the team, my coaches I hired. And my team helped me put together the show. I was so blessed and so honored. They was all professional. Everybody did their job. It was nothing.
That's amazing. How long did you take to prepare for that?
It took us like 6 months.
Wow.
But then I was doing another show. I did an amateur show at my gym during that process the month before. So when you called me, I was like, yes, I get to get. I was so excited when this happened.
Take a vacation in California.
Work vacation. Like, I really enjoy this. I love podcasts. I love this, stuff like that. But like, get away from the norm. I wanted to get away from the norm for a while.
Right. Yeah, that's amazing. What advice do you have for young boys, young men that are growing up in similar situations you did as a kid and feeling like they have to fit in an unhealthy environment that may lead to prison or, places we know that if they stay on a certain path, but feel what you were feeling as a young boy. I mean, you were strong enough mentally to make that decision for yourself, but I feel like that's rare, and there's not a lot of young boys who are capable of completely going against what maybe they feel they need to do.
There's so much I can say. Let me make sure I do this right. Do not let anyone put limitations on you. There's something deep inside you that that's right, that you you could do more. Go with that feeling. Go with the learn how to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Don't quit. Persevere. Be willing to run through a brick wall to be successful. Just believe in yourself. Like, I'm very spiritual. Mm-hmm. Like, find faith, find something to keep you going, keep you inspired. So much I could say. Just don't. It's so cliche. Don't give up. Don't. Right. Just dig deep within yourself to know that you belong. Especially guys that look like me. Mm-hmm. We belong. We could do this. Show people that you have manners. Show people that you have respect. They don't expect that out of us. Mm-hmm. Like, mess people head in when you say yes sir, no sir. Be respectful. Being respectful will open up doors for you that you would never imagine. Open the door. Don't be afraid to meet. Don't be a stranger to anybody. Give everybody an opportunity. That's what helped me become successful, because I never in my life met a stranger. Mm-hmm. It's all right to keep that childlike imagination. Be a kid. Be yourself. Be authentic. Yeah, have this law of it's a law. One of the laws I just learned is the law of authenticity. Mm-hmm. Just be yourself.
Yeah, I love that.
It's so much.
There's so much. Yeah, I mean, Tony, you have an amazing story, and you yourself are just so inspiring. And thank you so much for coming on here today. And if anybody wants to, reach out or find you, do you have social media? Mm-hmm. How can they find you?
I love being on podcasts like this. Thank you so much for having me on here. So I would like to be on more podcasts. So you could email me at TMACKElite Training at gmail.com. And my social media is TMACK Elite Training. You can find me on there, Instagram. Twitter is TKO Tony Mack. Just hit me up.
Perfect. And we will see you doing something, running another marathon or swimming across the ocean or doing something crazy soon.
I'm going to do something that scare me.
There you go.
I like
Perfect.
to be scared.
I do too. If it doesn't scare you, it's not right.
That's not right.
I agree. Well, thank you, Tony, so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.